Dun, 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 do, 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 do.
Wom, 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 wom,
Dun, 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 dun. Do, 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 do.
Bum, ba, da, do, da, 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 da.
It's like we're in the Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
Hey, it's my heritage. Dude, I'm living my truth.
Everyone, it's Bear.
Hi,
And
I'm
now
back.
here's
He's
Coach
here.
Prendor.
My team finally made the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's been rough as a Patriots fan.
Man.
It's been almost
Oh my God!
almost
guys,
a whole
can you
year
believe it?
since.
It's crazy,
The
dude. I
Patriots, they
can't.
did it.
They after all this
did it.
time.
Oh my
Yeah.
God!
After all this time.
Wow! Oh,
It's crazy, man.
boy.
It's crazy.
I'll
just-
tell you, I've been
uh,
waiting all these years for the Patriots to finally get back. That was a very subtle joke. I don't know if you hear all these
Yeah.
years for the Patriots. to
Yeah,
get
all
I
these-
can't believe
all
that
these years.
happened. It's like
That's
Yeah.
week
Yeah.
3,
I mean-
the Patriots were done. That's
Yep.
kind of weird.
Yeah,
Dude, like it's just funny because like, there are like sports pundits that are, paid millions of dollars to talk on television about
way
sports.
more than we are.
Yeah. Oh, it was paid basically nothing. And
Mhm.
by basically, I mean exactly nothing. And yelling about the Patriots. He's gonna Max Kellerman yelling about Tom Brady's falling off a cliff. It's all over. And like meanwhile, we're this little podcast in a corner of the internet that's just like, when they're out of the playoffs, then we'll talk.
Yeah. They're not out yet.
That's the thing, man. It's like,
I mean, while we're tooting our own horn, I mean, like I distinctly remember after the Patriots Chiefs game in Week 6 or whenever it was, saying on this show, like, "Yeah, this is going to be the AFC Championship game, so that's definitely going to happen." And
yeah.
also, the Patriots might win, so it's happened just now, so we'll see.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Bear, you'd be proud of me. I went 2-0 this past week in Pick'ems,
Well
and I
done,
definitely
well
picked the
done.
Patriots.
Yeah,
I don't
thank
know. I don't know how you could. It's a point that I made last week. I can't pick against Bill Belichick and Brady in the playoffs. I just can't do it. No matter who they're playing against.
There's no reason to, honestly, at this
It's-
point.
It's almost it's an impossible scenario to see
Yeah.
them lose.
Can
in
I
any given
also
situation.
mention? Speaking of pick'ems, I've won the playoffs as well as the regular season.
he's done it.
Just saying.
Well done.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
saying.
I call
I
the
mean-
Rams underrated. Here we are. Here's the thing. Here's the worst part about it. I still think they're underrated, and I think they're going to lose the Super Bowl, and it makes me sad.
I think what you mean, you mean like overrated, right? You
They're
can say
overrated. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
that's
meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's God, they're gonna win again.
Yep. Here's the thing, right? Like I think this could go, well, obviously it could go two ways. Would the Patriots win or the Patriots lose? But my point.
No way.
being-
I think it could go 4 ways, actually. Patriots win, Patriots lose, Rams win,
Rams win or Rams lose.
or they tie. Oh my
But
God.
what I'm saying is,
Thanks for listening, everyone.
there are two scenarios that could play out here. One, Tom Brady bookmarks his career by winning his last Super Bowl against the team that he first won his Super Bowl against, and then rides off into the sunset, and the bad man can't hurt us anymore. Or,
Did you mean to say bookends his career, not bookmarks his career?
Bookend.
yeah, whatever.
Close enough.
I've read like 4 books in my life. What do I
Very
know about
experienced.
He
those?
doesn't have any fucking bookend.
Yeah, come on now. Or they lose and Tom Brady retires in shame and defeat. And I can't wait for that scenario, but that's
He's gonna
probably
retire.
not going to happen.
Both of these scenarios involve
He's
him.
gonna retire.
He's not gonna retire.
He's a Jets fan, Bear. Of course he's going to win.
He's almost in his second prime, dude. Like I know it's
not retired, Tom.
but be realistic. Take pride in the realism that this podcast provides to people, and the fact that we have just acknowledged that we're witnessing a ridiculous dynasty that is never going to happen again.
Oh, it will never happen again. I guarantee that.
The
Like, at this
system is
point.
set up so that this doesn't happen.
Yeah,
This isn't supposed to happen right now.
yeah. No, it's like literally like it. And to be honest, It works perfectly well with 31 other teams. For some reason, with the Patriots, it just doesn't. I like no, like if you look at the other 31 teams, like almost every one of them has has won a Super Bowl or significant playoff games in the past like 20 years, and like most of them maybe won 1 or 2 in that time span. Bill Belichick and Tom Brady just break that. They just destroy the entire fucking system, and I hate it.
Well, let's be real though. I mean,
this is just porn for me. I'm sorry. This is so good.
We're witnessing what is the greatest quarterback in NFL history. I mean, like it's not like like this was built out of nowhere. All of a sudden, it's just a huge discovery that the Patriots are good. I mean, Tom Brady is the best quarterback that's ever played the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, it's undeniable at this point.
And you know what?
I'm not even a huge Brady fan, but I don't dislike the Patriots and I don't like the Patriots. But as someone who feels that way, I mean, it's everyone. I even tweeted it out. I said, look, you can love or hate the Patriots or Belichick or Brady, but every single football fan out there who likes the NFL would kill to have a Tom Brady or Bill Belichick combo on their team.
Dude, to that point, listen to this stat real quick.
Yeah.
I know it's probably going to be hammered into the ground during this next couple of weeks, along with everything else. But
just bask in it, Bear. Just go ahead and bask.
But listen to this; it's insane. He's made the Super Bowl in 50% of the seasons he's played.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's fucking absurd.
The stat line that was presented during the game was that out of the 17 seasons that Tom Brady has played, he's been in the postseason 13 of those. That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, well, there are other crazy. I mean, they posted this stat in the game too, and like when they posted that, it's like, oh, it's fucking over. Like I mean, I knew it was over already when Tom Brady got the ball back with 2 minutes left, and I was just like, oh yeah, it's over. But I mean, granted, they went to overtime, but
that Chiefs drive was at the end was actually pretty impressive too.
Oh yeah, no, but like they posted this one thing where it was when Tom Brady has gone into the second half up 14 points, he was 72-1. 72-1, which by the way is now 73-1.
Yeah, he added another one onto there.
He's got stupid. Like there was another one on the NFL subreddit like a little bit ago that was like Tom Brady's last 16 playoff games are probably better than his MVP season where he threw for like 5,000 yards.
God, yeah.
Like if you look at if you conglomerate the stats from his last 16 playoff games, it's actually insane. And it's just like, what the fuck? How does this happen? How?
Well, Bear, I'm happy for you. I wish I could experience the level of happiness you do on an almost seasonal basis. Yeah. And and I one day I hope to share in the glory of making the postseason as a Buccaneers fan, which is not going to happen.
I'm gonna try to be. I'm keeping my shittiness to a minimum. So
Thank you.
Just say thank you for that. That's it.
Here's one of the things. We probably wouldn't be talking about this if D Ford knew how to line up on the line of scrimmage.
Oh, that was a huge mental error.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? That's almost double doink territory.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it, honestly. Like I knew there was a flag thrown, but I didn't think of all things it would be of somebody like D Ford, especially just lining up across the fucking line of scrimmage. Like, dude, how do you not see that? You're looking at the line.
It's not even like he jumped or anything. Like he literally just lined up incorrectly.
He was so far up too. It was.
I'm gonna play
really
devil's
flagrant.
advocate as someone who played D line and then defense for a long time. Obviously not at the NFL level, but what I will say in his defense is that by that point, the Kansas City defense was just gassed.
Oh yeah.
They were exhausted. And
you could see that in overtime, especially.
Yeah.
Just when Rex Burkhead is just plowing over your D line, you know those dudes are exhausted.
And Edelman he's got like Velcro hands. You can't stop it. And then, of course, shout out to Tony Romo because he listens to the show. And all the calls
He
to
called
Gronk.
like every play.
As a defensive player like Romo's not the only one who saw it coming. It's not the fact that the Chiefs didn't see any of those, because if it was obvious to a commentator, it's going to be even more obvious to a defensive coordinator. Like you'd have to be blind not to see it coming. But the fact that they knew it was coming and they still couldn't stop Edelman and Gronkowski that is such a kick in the head that lining up on the line, not in the neutral zone or anything like that, is the last thing you're thinking about. You're just thinking, I can't believe this is happening. I mean, I'm again just playing
Andy Reid, by the way, at the end of the overtime
with the
period
timeout.
to have 3 timeouts there. And you hear Tony Romo over the broadcast too, going like, it would be a perfect time to call a timeout right now because the defense is really tired and they should call a timeout.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Andy
And then the
Reid.
Patriots win.
I like Andy Reid. I really do hope that he wins. It's just he's so outclassed by Belichick and the Patriots every time. I mean, it's
the Jazz against or Jordan's Bulls. Like they're really good, but not good enough.
In fairness to Andy Reid, and in fairness, like to coaching in general, everybody gets outclassed by Bill Belichick. Like
he gets people fired on a yearly basis.
Yeah, he is just straight up a level above. Now that said, though, like they kept up in that game. Like the Patriots ended up losing the lead at one point too, right?
Oh yeah, Mahomes did miraculous things in the second half.
Yeah. So
Dude,
I mean,
I want to tell you something though on that particular note. Who was the receiver that caught that touchdown from Mahomes? I think it was Damian Williams.
yeah.
Caught that and was dancing, and then he danced a little too long, dude. And I swear to God, something in my brain at that moment was like, "Oh, Tom's pissed. We're gonna win." Like he saw that dance. He's like, "This motherfucker thinks they won off that." The game ain't over, bitch.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna run the clock down some more because it was like a little over 2 minutes, and I was like, oh, they'll probably run a few plays to get the clock lower, and they're just all right, here you go, Tom Brady.
I thought too, like they were acting like they had won the game from that. It's like, no, you guys, is Andy Reid under the impression that every game clock just runs like 2 minutes lower than it actually does, and he's like convinced his team too that like, oh, good job, guys, all right, we did it, well done, this is all we needed.
I mean,
Good effort.
When I saw that last touchdown, I was telling my dad, I said, I bet at a certain point there's like a certain failure line that the Patriots have that say if they go this far, just let them, because we want the ball.
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
I don't think the Chiefs
expecting-
were before Rob says anything. I don't think that the Chiefs were really on scoring on that play in particular.
Mhm.
But I definitely see a reason to be like, dude, if they're past this line, just let them go. That's something that the Patriots would tell them, because we want the ball back. Because you definitely never want to give Brady in the postseason in the fourth quarter that much time to have the ball. You've got to
3
you have to
timeouts,
bleed that
too.
clock. Yeah, with 3 timeouts, you just don't want to do that.
I actually similarly, like I was gonna say, I was expecting something like what the Patriots did in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, where the D line just moves out of the way to give the guy the touchdown so that Tom could have the ball back. And honestly, it kind of felt like that on that, because on the end of the game, that was a rushing touchdown, right? That the Chiefs scored, and he did kind of cut right through the defense. I mean, granted, it looked like they were still playing. Like, it didn't look like the Super Bowl play, where the D line literally walked out of the way, and then what's his face had to walked up to the end zone and was like, I'm gonna sit down, I guess.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying though. It's something that Belichick probably has to be like, if it looks like they're gonna score in this position, let them score.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, the thing is, like, you give Tom Brady, like, I tweeted a joke on Twitter when it happened, but this guy's been doing this for 20 years now. Like, if you give Tom Brady 2 minutes and 3 timeouts, it doesn't matter how good your defense is. And the Kansas City Chiefs defense is not good. It doesn't matter how good your defense is.
Yeah, but he won't do it this time, Rob. Not this time. Not against us.
No one beats us for the 74th time in a row.
Yeah.
It's just... So it was one of those things where, and I'm sure the coaches on the sidelines and the players on the sidelines at Kansas City were just like, oh fuck, Oh, he's got 2 minutes.
Yep.
Oh shit.
They're saying it begins.
Yeah.
Did you hear the Tom Brady quote that was like Android-esque?
No.
Oh,
Listen,
yeah.
He
Oh, at the end
said
of the game, is that the one you're talking about?
he said my mind doesn't slow down in the cold, but
Oh,
their
right.
bodies do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Such a
Like,
fucking
gee, that's like
weird-
an android.
That's
Like
that's
my
just
mind.
that's just Brady messing with people at that
Yeah.
point.
He's such a fucking weirdo too, man.
He's a troll,
it's
man.
just-
Like
Listen, you have to be. He's insane, but he fucking has to be, of course. To
Yeah,
have the
yeah.
competitive drive to do what he's doing. He's 40 fucking 1, going
Yeah.
on 42 in 3 months. Like, how do you keep this up without being a
he's-
little bit fucking crazy?
and he's probably gonna fucking play next year too. And I hate
Probably.
it. I hate it. I want
yeah,
him to win the Super Bowl so that it's a great storyline, and he's like, that's the perfect time to retire.
That's what
Like,
I was
I just-
gonna. I wanted to ask you, Bear. Sorry, Rob. I wanted to ask Bear. Was like, for some reason, I feel like if Brady wins, this might be it.
No, it's
That
not.
he's. You don't think that there's not even an iota of a chance that he would?
I'm giving
that he
you a
would hang it up?
0% chance he retires after this. No, I'm
Okay.
serious.
You know what? I like, as much as I would love it, I think Bear's probably right too, because
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Brady has said in the past that like I'm there, like the only reason that I am going to stop playing is if they bench me or cut me. Like that's
And he's
that's
in the
it. Like,
Super Bowl.
yeah, at 41. So like it's Tom. If he goes out, the way he's gonna go out is it's gonna be like a bad injury that he doesn't want to recover from, or it's gonna be like, a lot of the other older QBs that we've seen where it does suddenly just drop off a cliff and he just can't
And
do it
not
anymore.
people perceiving that he's actually falling off. Like,
No, like
when
it
he actually
really-
does, everyone will know. It's going to be obvious.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, yeah, like I mean, the Peyton Manning's last year, like that's the cliff. If he hits that, then he'll retire.
Gronk's hitting a cliff right now, and everyone can see it. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, Jesus, yeah, he is a lot slower, and he's like playing with all these injuries impacting him. So yeah, he has, what's the word? He has gone past his prime, I guess is really the best way to say it.
Yeah,
He's,
it does
he's
kind of
gone past the expired date.
I guess so, yeah.
Best
Well,
buy.
Peyton Manning, by the way, is 42. He's like as old as Tom
Yeah.
Brady.
Yeah.
And
Which is
he's
kind of
he's
insane.
not even in the fucking zeitgeist anymore. When's the last
Yeah.
time you saw Peyton Manning?
Yeah.
I think I saw him on a
commercials.
Papa John's commercial at one point.
Actually, quick aside to
Not too good.
to promote another football related thing that's not us. Peyton Manning does this thing on ESPN called Detail with Peyton Manning.
Does
It's very good. Yes,
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. It's really, really very good. Like especially if the thing that you're interested in football is like the sort of like X's and O's kind of like strategy element of it, because that's what he basically goes into. It's really good. It's cool seeing him break down play, and also it's Peyton, so like he's funny, so he's cracking jokes the
Yeah.
whole time too. So
Yeah.
it's good. It's a good time.
Um,
That's the Patriots game. Congrats
Yep.
again, Bear.
that is
Yeah.
the Patriots game.
I'm glad that
Honestly,
Picked
Like-
perfectly on that.
the Chiefs, they got some good upside though. You got one of the best young quarterbacks going
Oh
for
yeah.
it.
As soon as Brady's gone, Mahomes is going to be great to watch.
Yo,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. Like it played out pretty much exactly as we all expected it to. But obviously, not all of us picked the Patriots. But what I mean is that if the Chiefs lost in the playoffs, it was because of their defense, and it was like they let the other team score 37 fucking points. Like that's just what happened. So if they have like this 1 year window where they don't have to re-sign Pat Mahomes yet and give him a fucking monster contract.
He's gonna get like 200 mil, dude.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be insane. And
Yeah.
he, by the way, completely deserves it because
Yeah.
he's a monster. And I said on Twitter as well yesterday or on Sunday, like, I say on this podcast all the time, like with a QB, you gotta wait a couple of years to know who they really are. With Pat Mahomes, I think straight up he breaks that mold. Like this guy, he's gonna be, if he doesn't get injured like terribly over the course of his career, he's gonna be a monster forever. Like seriously, he is that good. I think.
Now, I want to talk about him for a minute too,
Yeah.
in both a positive and negative light, actually,
Mm.
because I'm totally with you in that. First of all, in that he breaks the mold because he does things that we've never seen before, literally
Yeah.
never seen before,
Yeah.
which is insane to say. Like these sidearm throws that he makes it look so easy. That is
Yeah.
so hard
Yeah.
to do with a football. Yeah, I struggle to do that with a baseball, and I played baseball for a long time.
Well, I
Like,
mean, there's only a couple of QBs in the league right now that even attempt sidearm throws in game time, like
does it like it's
Stafford,
an
Stafford
everyday
and Rivers. Yeah, exactly. And the thing, like Stafford and Rivers do it, but like when Mahomes does it, it just it feels different. Actually, like there was
it
one
feels like a
in the,
natural part of his rhythm.
yeah, like there was one. I think it was either the Patriots game or the game before where the defender was right on top of him. Like, like literally within a foot of him, and he
It was Trey Flowers. I remember the play. I remember.
Yeah.
the play.
Okay. There. Yeah. Then it was the Patriot. Yeah. And he throws it around him, and it
Yeah.
fucking completes it.
It was perfect too. Perfect
Yeah.
fucking ball.
It was just like I don't even you can't defend that. That's an undefendable like that situation. You know.
Yeah.
That's an
Sorry,
undefendable. That sounds like a Robism.
Hey, that's undefendable. Hey.
Undefendable.
Yeah.
So-
Sorry, Bear. Go on. Yeah.
He's really, really, really fucking good, as everyone's been saying all year. But he proved it again on the big stage. Although I do want to say something about that too. In the first half, he was shook. And I want to know how y'all feel about that, because I honestly feel like, especially like, look at the stats for the first half, and that is almost the tail of the tape right there. He was playing
Yeah.
scared though.
Yeah.
I thought
mean,
so anyway.
It could be. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this is the biggest game of his life.
Yeah,
so
no,
far,
I'm not
right?
trying
You
to
know?
say like it's a bad
And-
thing. I'm just analyzing it
Yeah.
that way.
I mean, it could. I could see that. If that's what happened, like I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's 23. He's
Yeah.
23, and he's going up against seriously the greatest dynasty in football history in the most important game of his life. I wouldn't.
I'd be scared. I'd be shitting my pants.
Yeah, I wouldn't
for
even be able to
sure.
step on the field. So like, I totally. If that's what happened with him in the first half, then I get that.
But
Absolutely.
he was missing, like, he missed a wide open touchdown that I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this
Yeah.
dude's terrified.
yeah, I could see that.
But
Yeah.
another thing I wanted to bring up is the overtime rules. Because
Oh,
a
do
lot of
ya
people
now?
have been talking about the overtime rules. Some people are like, this
Right.
is the worst rule ever. And they did change it to, help make it a little bit more fair a few years back. But
Yeah.
do you think both offenses should get a shot? Or do you think it's fine how it is?
I think it's fine.
I think it's fine too. To be honest.
Look at the
with you.
game. Like, I think the biggest point to proving that side is look at the NFC Championship game that happened literally prior to the
I know,
AFC
that's-
Championship game. Everyone's angry.
That's
The
thing.
Saints got the ball first, and Drew Brees threw an interception. Like, they got a fair chance, and they blew it.
And
Yeah.
like, I don't know if you guys have been following the NFL subreddit for a while, but that's been, people have been yelling about that. And a couple people have done research on this. Overtime coin toss winner winning the game, 52.7%. So it's real. It's like
Dead
getting,
even.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like winning the coin toss is not even a huge advantage. And people say like, okay, yeah, but it would still be better with like the college football format. College football format, 54.9% for the winner. Like it really
negligible.
is. Yeah, it really is pretty much as balanced as it can be. But I get it though. Like I get it. Like you want to be able to see both offenses, right? I mean, especially if offense is a strength. And I think this is my take. Like I think fundamentally what people are pretty much upset about is that the way that you decide who gets possession first is with a coin
It's random?
toss. Right. And I think that's what stems from it. That's where it stems from. Like that's what it looks like to me, really. Because
Yeah.
the numbers weigh out that it is pretty much even. But it is still like there is you do bring in this element of literal randomness with the flipping of the coin.
And you can't take that out either, right? Or do you
yeah,
want
it's
to?
rough. I don't know. Like I was thinking about that before the podcast, and I was
Do
thinking
you want
like,
it based on like who has the most yards gained on offense?
Right,
Or, like,
at
some
that-
arbitrary stat, but then everybody's gonna get upset about which one you pick.
exactly. That's what I was thinking. Like I thought maybe the most fair would be like the team that had the most, I don't know, turnovers or sacks like put
Yeah, but
together
that's always
or
gonna be
defensive
tied, right?
yards. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, but like whoever's defense was playing better in the game, maybe that's the team that goes first in overtime or something. Or
But then at the same
feel like
time,
it's-
you underrate the shitty teams that are like,
Right.
well, we never get the ball in overtime.
I
Yeah,
feel like
right,
it's
yeah.
just adding too much like convolutedness to
Yeah, I
something
think
that's fairly simple.
I think that like I agree with Sin, and like I think that you have to introduce that element of randomness, because if you get to overtime, that means that up to that point both teams played evenly. That means
Yep.
the score is tied because both teams played evenly. So you
Yep.
have to introduce something that is a neutral thing to break that up, because otherwise the score is just going to be tied.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know, it's difficult, right? Because I mean, I don't think you can get that mentality out of people because of the coin toss, and I don't. And at the same time, I don't really blame people either, because it can. I'm sure if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, it feels like, well, obviously their strength is on offense, so Pat Mahomes not getting to touch the ball at all seems unfair, and it does kind of like I get that. But then like
Then
the
no,
problem,
wait, say your same sentence again. But imagine we lost. The Chiefs got the ball first, and
Yeah.
replaced Pat
well,
Mahomes with
everybody
Tom
would have a
Brady.
great time. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no. I still understand that perspective. The problem is, what's better? Some people I've seen now are suggesting, well, just play a full quarter. Well, I mean, okay,
No.
you could do that, but in the playoffs, well, what happens if they're tied at the end? Do you play another? You can't play another quarter.
That would
Like,
take
you-
so long. It'd be
it's-
so boring.
Not only would it take so long, this isn't baseball. You know,
Mhm.
this is
Yeah.
a full contact sport. These guys have been beating the shit out of each other for 60 straight minutes.
That's true. Yeah,
Even-
no one will
Yeah.
be playing at even
Yeah.
like in the second
Yeah,
period.
like,
Too many people
even
will get hurt
one-
if you did
Yeah,
that.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
There, it would be a huge injury concern. Like, even one extra quarter is like dangerous. You know,
They were
And-
exhausted in that quarter. At the end of the game, they were all so tired.
So it's like so that's not a solution. And then like I don't know what the solution is. Like, again, other people have suggested, well, college football rules, which is, you know, slightly different. Both offenses get the ball, but you know, like we've seen, you actually get a bigger advantage in college football in that scenario if you win the coin flip.
Yeah, if your argument is to try to reduce the advantage the coin flip gives you, then why are you trying to get to something
Right.
that gives you a bigger advantage?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. It's hard to say, because it's really hard to do in football specifically, because it's a full contact sport. In baseball, yeah, extra innings. You could do extra innings. You could do fucking 40 extra innings.
Yeah.
Who cares? You know, you're just swinging a fucking bat.
Everyone's just
But-
drunk anyway.
Right.
Players.
Like, fucking look at CC Sabathia, was like 300 pounds. He was one of the best fucking pitchers in the
Smoking
league. Like,
cigars in the fucking
yeah.
bullpen.
like Wade Boggs drank 100 plus fucking beers on an airline. A guy threw a no hitter on acid.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, that was him, huh?
It's, there's just like there's a whole like baseball is a complete like football is a completely different sport in that way, that overtime is very difficult to fine tune, and based on the stats right now, it looks like it's pretty fine tuned with this coin toss, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the answer is stop worrying about it and stop bitching.
Yeah.
Play some
Yeah.
defense.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now, that said, though, I am rooting for a team that is usually not in overtime games, because we usually just get blown out. Maybe I
That
have a
is true.
different view if, you know,
It's,
if it's my team.
well, I've seen plenty, as somebody who's like the almost Patriots, where we're like, hey, we almost got to the Super Bowl again.
We almost made the playoffs this year, guys.
Yeah. Well, we missed 2 years in a row. That's why everyone got fired. This was outrage.
Thank God.
It's God, there's so many Packer games where it's just like, all right, overtime, like the Arizona overtime, where we got the Hail Mary, but then we lost in overtime. I don't think Rodgers got the ball. There's the Seattle game. I don't think we got the ball first in that one either. Granted, both these games, we played bad enough to like have to come back, or the Seattle one was like, hey, we blew a amazing lead because of fake field goals and onside kicks and shit. So it's like there's so many things that led up to that point, but still you're like, all right, give Aaron Rodgers the ball, and it's like, oh, you didn't get it. And it's like, not our shitty defense on the field. It's over. It's over. Like, God, I think that's part of it is like a team that's built in the modern NFL. A lot of them don't have good defenses.
Yeah.
So it's like, you either get a turnover like against Drew Brees or you're screwed. So it's
I mean, I don't know if it was Wade Phillips, but it was some defensive coordinator. I think it was Wade Phillips.
It was Wade Boggs.
Yeah, it was Wade Boggs. Yeah, after his 70 years. But he basically said, like, yeah, with the way that the rules are right now, like, you can't create a defense that prevents yardage anymore. You have to create a defense that generates turnovers. It's the only way to play in the NFL right now. Now, whether or not that's true is with, you need a lot of stats and numbers and stuff to figure that out. But it does kind of feel that way right now.
Yeah.
And I think again, part of the reason that people are upset about the overtime rules is because people feel like offense is so much more powerful than defense right now with the current game rules, which is arguably true. But the thing that I want to say on that is I think people are a little bit overreactionary in sports. Like, for instance,
No way.
like for instance,
Not in sports, Rob.
when the Rams-Chiefs game happened and everybody, oh my God, I saw posts on the Jets subreddit, the NFL sub, it was everywhere on news pundits, media, like the sports media talking about, everybody was talking about, oh, whatever are we going to, it's the death of defense in the NFL. What are we going to do? I don't want to see these college games, 50-plus points against 50-plus points.
That sounds so awful. Who would want to see that?
This is just the NFL now. Like, it's all offense and then what have we seen in the playoffs so far this year, actually? Especially from the high-scoring offenses like the Rams and the Chiefs and stuff. They've been scoring like 20 points. Like the defenses up until this point have been pretty much the winners in these playoff games a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And then you have this AFC Championship game, which everybody, I mean, I feel like everybody in this call would say, yeah, that was a great game. I enjoyed that game. There was 68 fucking points in that game. Nobody's crying bloody murder in this one. So
Yeah.
I think there's part of the overtime rules comes from the coin flip, and the other part comes from the fact that people have a possibly over-biased view that offense is too powerful right now.
Yeah.
Because people want to say, like, both offenses should see the field, but you're seeing an offense against the defense. It's not like they're playing nobody out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the playoffs?
Playoff.
I remember the playoffs. So
I think we should talk about the other game. Though,
let's talk about the other game. I was going to get to that.
We get too far down the rabbit hole here.
Anyway, the Saints Rams. That was a good game up until the refs did their thing.
Yeah.
So now, finally,
Let's just get that out of the way
Packers don't
first, I
trigger a
guess.
referee
Yeah,
thing.
let's go right for it, honestly.
Because that was total bullshit and the Saints deserve to be in the Super Bowl?
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be straight up with you. Saints got robbed. Like that was.
They got robbed.
It's my name.
Hey. Now, Sean McVay has come out and said that the refs also missed a face mask call that would have given the Rams first and goal from the 2 instead of kicking a field goal to tie the game. So
that
he's
was
being like, hey.
That was an egregious error as well, because that was a total face mask that anyone could hear it. I don't know what the refs were smoking that day or what they were seeing, but man, like when you see stuff like this happen on the biggest stage before the Super Bowl, in fact, there's no wonder why people are like the NFL is going downhill. Like they've got no integrity at all. I mean, I don't think there's even a casual football fan would see that was pass interference. I'm someone who hates the Saints more than any team in the NFL by far, and I tweeted out that no team should deserve to lose like that. And I would expect Saints fans to feel the same, for any other team. I mean, like it's a terrible, absolute travesty of a way to go out like that in the worst game to lose in NFL history. You can't. many people argue that losing the Super Bowl is much easier than losing the championship before the Super Bowl.
I would. Yeah,
Especially when it comes down
I've
to the
lost
refs.
a few of those. This is pretty fun to lose.
The only time I ever got there was only once. So
someone with experience.
Yeah, there we know you're a freaking Patriots fan, but like
Dude,
there is no excuse for that, and I don't. You can see where some of these conspiracy theory nuts come out and say that every game is rigged. It's like when you see stuff like this, it's like it's. I'm not saying it's rigged.
Yeah.
Well, they
No,
also missed like there's a face mask, a horse collar tackle,
The officiating in the
misplay
whole
of
game was terrible. Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, like that, and that's I think that's the biggest takeaway from this is that this is endemic of a larger problem in the NFL that they seriously need to look over in the offseason. Officiating is bad right now. Like
Well,
it's. I mean, like I personally, I feel like I've been watching football for like 10 years now. This is I mean, outside of the replacement refs year, this is like the worst it's been. Like it's been going downhill for the past. I mean, especially since the beginning of this year started with the whole fucking, if you breathe in the direction of the quarterback, it's 15 yards. So like, it's getting bad, and they need to deal with this. Like this needs to be resolved.
I feel
in
like
some
there's
way.
such an easy solution that, like, I'm not trying to white knight you, by the way. Like, let's not be so mean to the referees now. Come on, they're just doing their job, because I think it's been pretty bad too. But I think there's a solution that doesn't even have to involve like berating them or like trying to find better referees, and it's to just let penalties be reviewable.
Yeah.
Because why
I agree.
aren't they?
That's
No,
going to
I
happen.
agree.
That's going to be the ultimate fallout of this. Is that I guarantee you that after the Super Bowl is done this year and the season goes in the off season, the NFL is going to say that penalties are now reviewable, like
Yeah,
specific penalties.
why not?
And I think further than that, not just penalties should be reviewable, but not uncalled penalties should be reviewable. Like, but and this
Well,
is the
that's
thing
a
that
that's a
people-
slippery
no,
slope.
see,
It's like 12 men
no.
on the field,
See,
Rob.
here's the thing. Yeah, yes, actually, because it's, you know what? It's total fucking bullshit that that's the only one.
Here we go again.
No, but it is bullshit that is the only reviewable penalty. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Pass
No, I don't think the
interference,
No,
NFL has
here's the
any
thing- here's the
legitimate excuse to not pursue a way to like modernize the review of penalties in this day and age.
and I want to specifically defend the idea of no call penalties. You should be able to specifically call out what penalty you're saying actually occurred, because because otherwise, you could just call it on every play, and there probably is a penalty on almost every play. Right?
Make it the same way a challenge operates, right? Like you have to be
Exactly.
able to challenge that this penalty occurred on this play, and that's
And
the same
people-
thing.
And here's the thing. Now the main criticism that I hear is like, oh well, the game's gonna take 40 fucking years if you review every penalty. Well, okay, we're saying with challenges, the number of challenges is not changing in this hypothetical scenario.
Yeah.
Like, why would it take any longer? The coaches will have the same
They're
amount
going
of
to be just
challenges
as
they did.
valuable as challenging the ruling on the field otherwise.
Exactly. And guess what? If you fuck up a challenge right now, you lose a timeout. And we all know how important timeouts are. So
Except Andy Reid. Thank you for lobbing that over the plate for me. Sorry. continue.
I figured
just-
it was a nice easy one. So.
I can't get on. I cannot. I know what you're advocating for. I can't get on board with that though, because if you make no calls reviewable, right? You say, I think that was pass interference. Let's review it. The Pandora's box that you're opening is that if you can throw out something that hasn't been called, there's holding on every single play. So what you're, if you say, okay, well, they obviously held, look for holding on this guy, look for holding this guy, and there's flat out holding on every play. But let's say just for the sake of argument that there are some penalties you are not allowed to challenge. Okay,
I'd be okay with that. I'd probably be okay with that.
I think the problem with, if we go down that route and say there is just flat out some penalties you cannot challenge, we're back at this square here and wasting time figuring out, like, well, this was clearly a penalty but no one called it. I'm saying that not if you have to make a distinction between penalties that can and cannot be challenged if they're on a no call, you're back to square one, because then it's like, well, wait a second, how come we can't call a challenge on a holding penalty, or clearly that was a block in the back. Let's review that. I mean, I think that it should be across the board. If you can review penalties should be reviewed, but I don't think that no calls should be reviewable. That's just my opinion on that, because then you're talking about wasting a lot of time.
Well, let me give you a different perspective to it, though, because I think you can still do it the same way without making specific penalties non-reviewable. I think you can make them all reviewable, and I think you can put it on the coaches to weigh whether or not they want to gain that 10 yards on that play and use a challenge because they are so certain that holding occurred on that play in that moment. I think it can still have the same value, and you can make all penalties reviewable and even make the non-calls reviewable and still put it upon the coaches to make the call.
Yeah.
I think that there would be a lot more wasted time if coaches had a specific coordinator that was hired just to look for penalties for no calls on every play. It's like, okay, well, everyone who's ever played or watched football knows.
But you have a limited amount of challenges,
right?
So,
I know, but I know that. But what I'm saying is, if you challenge something now, you get the opportunity to challenge again, and you don't lose the timeout. I'm not saying that you're looking at an infinite loop here possibility, but it could happen.
Well, no,
you get
like three is the max that you can.
But you gain a fourth one though if you
no.
On the third one.
You have two to start the game, and then if you are successful on both, you get a third one. That's how it.
I thought you get another one if it's in the second half.
Well, yeah, but that's the third one.
Well, otherwise you could just infinitely challenge now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I would say I'd want it for two things. One is roughing the passer, because sometimes you see some of those and you're like there was one on Tom Brady, was there? He tapped his head.
He touched him a little bit. Yeah.
Whoa, watch it there, buddy.
Yeah.
And then there was pass interference, because pass interference is such a huge penalty, or it's spot of the foul. That's 30 yards, 40 yards. You're getting crazy big chunks of yardage from those. So it's those two, I think, are two of the biggest game changers. So I would want only those two, at least for now.
Mm-hmm. I'm still not on board with the whole no call should be challenged thing, but I think it's universally welcomed to the idea. And plus, let's not forget, this is something the CFL already does, that penalties should flat out be reviewable, and that's what I am guaranteeing that's what we're going to see before next season.
Look, there are loads of things that they should do. Think about this for a second. How do we judge first downs in the NFL?
It's been a second,
2019. How do we judge first downs in the NFL? What do we use?
We have this stick.
We have a stick with a fucking chain attached to it. It is 2019. That's what we're using. All right.
You want to get rid of the
It's
chain?
reliable.
Come on, man. The pylon's the best part of the game, man.
I actually legitimately like the chain, and I hope they keep the chain. But my point is, there's a lot of archaic shit in the modern NFL, and especially now that sports betting is back in to the NFL as in a larger market in that respect. I mean, a lot of things need to be tuned up. Why aren't we putting chips in these? These are multi-billion-dollar games that are being played every fucking Sunday. Put some fucking chips in the ball and see if it crosses the goal line. How hard is that? We've had this technology for 10, 15 years now. You could do that. You could.
It'll cost money, Rob. We don't want.
We don't want to.
You know what?
Accuracy, Rob.
I legit don't even think it's a money concern. I legitimately don't believe that's what it is. I think it's just that the NFL is very traditionalist in how they treat the game and how they treat penalties and stuff as well. And I think they're afraid
to get some young millennial owners out there and really shake things up.
But for real, there are so many things that could be tuned up in this. These are multi-fucking billion-dollar.
Are millennials ruining the NFL?
As the head referee of all referees, I don't want chips taking our jobs.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of shit that they could do, and I think reviewing penalties is just something that. And to your point though about not being able to review no calls, I understand where you're coming from with the problem of like, well, they could just review a hold on a big play that
Yeah, this is like a get out of jail free card.
I get that. No, I get that. And maybe and again, I'm not the NFL commissioner. I don't know what the proper solution is.
You're not.
But what I'm saying is
I was lied
clearly
to.
this is a problem. And in your scenario, what happened in the Saints game doesn't get fixed because they don't go back and review it, right? So that's the concern. And then the other thing about the officiating right now is there's a lot of downtime that is completely unfucking necessary. Like, remember twice in the Patriots game, the ref stopped the game. They took like 4, 5, 6 minutes, and they come out and they're like, the game clock is correct. and then Tony Romo in the commentary booth was like, thanks. Yeah, no, that's great. That's great.
Yeah. I've never seen a referee do that before.
Yeah, this is something that should not be happening at all in these like, this should not be. They should have a fucking dedicated clock guy who every time a flag is thrown it calculates where the game, because it's not fucking hard, calculates where the game clock should be if the penalty is accepted or declined. Just have a guy who does that. Why does it need to take? Well, do they? Because every time, because it happens all the time. Like, I've seen it constantly over the course of this season.
No, they have a timekeeper. It's just
they'll do the penalty, and then they'll have the confirmation, and then the offense and the defense walk back out into the field, and then the refs blow the whistle, and they're like, hold on a second, and they go back, and then they talk for a while, and then they're like, okay, set the game clock 4 seconds earlier. It's like, this should have been fucking resolved already.
To be fair, just to play devil's advocate again on this one, it is possible that one of the coaches on either team could have said, hey, is that clock right?
Right, but that's the thing, right? Is that, why is it not? This is something that should have a dedicated role already.
If there was any doubt, if I'm a head coach and I think that the clock possibly could be wrong, I'll tell the line judge, like, hey, is that clock right? Can you guys just confirm that, because that doesn't seem right, Well, because that's what happens right now.
And part of that is I'm pretty sure that the stadiums directly control the clock unless the referees tell them otherwise. So they have their own personnel doing that. The refs the officiating crews or the officiating crew in New York should be the ones handling that, not the stadium engineers or the stadium workers. But or the production staff.
If they did what you're talking about, and let's say that they say, okay, we have someone officially. I'm 100% sure that there's an actual position called timekeeper in the NFL. But
I think that's in the stadium. But go on.
But what I'm saying is, though, like, in your scenario, let's just say, okay, we're just going to redo the whole. We've got a guy for that, right?
Yeah.
What's the difference between that and now? If a coach says, like, whoa, hang on a second, that clock looks wrong. They're going to have to go back and confirm it anyway. So there's no reason to.
No, they wouldn't necessarily have to, because again, you can pretty much just look at the tape.
You're saying if a coach says, I think that clock is wrong, they're going to be like, no, like, shut up.
I mean, if they should have. I mean, if they have a staff of timekeepers who are actually like ready every time a flag is called in New York, and they're looking at the game and they look at the game footage and they know exactly whether this penalty is accepted or declined, what the game clock should be set to, then it should never be wrong. There should be no reason that it should ever be wrong.
But a coach could still be like, are you sure that clock is right?
Yeah, and then you tell them to fuck off. That's what the refs do
all
the time.
Rob.
Refs do that all the time. Sean Payton was up on the side. Bill Belichick threw a fucking Surface tablet in his game. Like, they tell the coaches to fuck off.
But that's not because the coach questioned if the clock was right. A referee's not going to tell a head coach to F off if it's like, hey, by the way, that clock seems like we're missing a couple seconds there.
Fuck
the ref will go back. You can't do that.
What? They already do. That's what I'm saying.
They don't do that if a coach is asking if the clock is right or not.
Then they say yes.
I'm not gonna lie. This seems like it's not even an issue. Like, what do you take? Like 20 seconds to check the clock? Like, all right, that's cutting into the broadcast time, guys. Like, I don't, like, whatever. Then we're gonna watch like a 20-minute commercial. But hey, sucks for the Saints.
Yeah.
They lost.
And hey, you know what? No matter what, Rams still scored 26 points. So
They did.
Rams fans still, congratulations. I think it's unfair to say that they don't deserve to be in the Super Bowl because of something that was out of both teams' control. That it just was. They neither team gets the control.
There were missed calls on both sides.
Of course. Yeah.
It just the one of the missed calls happened to have the game be on the line for it.
Yeah.
But I love how everyone sort of just says it's a cop out answer to be like, well, there's missed calls on both sides. Like it never comes down to one play. It's like, well, in this case,
Sometimes it does.
I've never seen a game this big lost in that way, like by just it wasn't even like it's an iffy penalty. Like that's just anyone with two working eyes or even like one working eye could have seen that was pass interference. I mean, like it's terrible. It's terrible. It is terrible. As someone who hates you, Saints and Saints fans out there, I'm 100% on your side because I would never want the Bucs to lose like that.
Yeah.
So to counter this
no fan should do
strawman we've made, who is suggesting that every game is a cumulative effort, you can't ever depend on like one play or one outcome to decide the game. Tell me with a straight face, the Miami Miracle didn't come down to one play.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, but
it's not a straw man though, because people.
Speak,
everyone says that. I mean, on TV, it's like,
yeah.
It never comes down to one play.
To speak on behalf of the straw man, because it's an argument that I've already made in defense of Cody Parkey and Alshon
that
Jeffrey.
sounds like the name of an indie folk band. To speak on behalf of the straw man.
But to speak on behalf of this man made of straw.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the first album.
Yeah. I mean, like it is sort of a cop out. I fully admit that. But at the same time, Saints could have scored more than 23 points. I mean, like, yes, it is a cop-out. Because, yes, the game did kind of come down to that play. And, yes, it was a very obvious no call. Because, by the way, it wasn't just pass interference. It was also helmet to helmet. There were two fouls on the fucking play.
Yeah.
But, like, the game did come down to pretty much
the outcome
that one play.
of that game was decided on one play.
It's kind of like
straight up truth.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how if you're in a season and it comes down to the final game to make the playoffs and then you lose it, everyone focuses on that game when it's like, well, if you would have just beat the Cardinals earlier in the season, you wouldn't matter.
Worry about this.
Yeah.
You would never had to play in the New Orleans Superdome.
Yeah, it's football all over. I mean, we saw a team go completely undefeated until the Super Bowl, and then they lost.
Like I'm just saying.
I mean, like someone's got to clap back at Bear eventually.
What? I'm immune. Do you think this hurts me?
I can't hear you through all my Super Bowl rings in my hand. For the record, the prediction playoff records go. Coach ended up going 0-2. I went 2-0. Rob went 1-1. So the final playoff prediction record up through the conference championships. Coach sitting at third place with 33%, Invicta at 500, and then Robert with a paltry 67%. Congrats, Rob.
Paltry with a victory, my friend.
Congrats, Rob.
Thank you.
You picked almost all the most obvious answers.
The good news for the Super Bowl, Tony Romo's going to be on the broadcast, right?
Yeah,
That's going to be
It's
good.
unfortunate that the plays are all going to be spoiled for us before they happen. But, it is what it is, I guess.
No,
and
I never liked Romo. I never liked Romo at all. I had no dog in any Romo fight, but with him with how good of a commentator he is, like I'm on board. Like sign him. I want him to be a coach. He'd make a great coach.
As a person who desperately seeks validation for his predictive success, I want to say I was always a big fan of Tony Romo, and you know what? You could back that up with like 15 episodes of this podcast. I like to defend QBs that get shit on a lot, and Tony got shit on.
Kirk Cousins, Rob,
and I will continue to do so, my friend.
It's not good.
But
Tony's
Tony,
underrated.
Tony Romo was legitimately underrated throughout his whole career, in my opinion. But he's just a fucking great commentator. I mean,
God
he's
damn
just,
it, Rob.
he's fantastic. No, but he's
And
a
Drew
great
Brees.
commentator.
These people need to start paying attention to him.
He's gonna
Yeah.
be good one of these days. I tell you what.
He's gonna have his moment. I feel so fucking genuinely bad for him. He
Yeah.
deserves to go to the Super Bowl.
Dude,
And then-
that's the one thing that really sucks about this, in my opinion, is that we could have had a Breeze Brady Super
I
Bowl.
know. Everyone deserved that.
That would have been so dope. Like,
That would've been
no offense
almost
to
as
Goff.
good as
Fucking
the-
Jared Goff.
Yeah, I
Dude,
mean, you know,
We could have had
Yeah.
a Rodgers Brady Super Bowl, but then Russell Wilson had to come back, and then he had to, we wouldn't even know about the running it instead of or passing instead of running, because the Packers would have went on to win, and then
We
everyone
could have
would've
had
been
a
happy.
Brad Johnson Brady Super Bowl if he was resurrected and signed to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and they actually had that defense. Why
Yep.
couldn't we have had that?
The glory days of Brad
we had
Johnson.
we had a Joe Namath Johnny Unitas Super Bowl in Super Bowl III. That was a good time. I
Good
remember
job,
that
Rob.
one. Yeah.
Yep,
I'll-
we got to go back to the
I'll have to-
60s and
I'll have to
70s.
ask I have to ask my negative 20-year-old self.
Actually, what's cool is Romo said he wants to educate his audience more on the human elements tied to the NFL championship and how the big games of the playoffs put enormous pressure not only on the players but their family, friends, coaches, and
All right.
etc.
Well, listen, Tony. Let's not overstep our bounds here. We like you as a commentator. We don't need no life lessons. All right?
I mean, honestly, like one of the things that is so great about Tony Romo is he effectively conveys, and I want to say
He banged
specifically,
Jessica Simpson.
well, that too, but he effectively conveys, emphasis on effectively conveys the minutia and strategy of the game while still being entertaining and also like make it easy for people to understand. That's
He's very Gruden-esque, except not as complicated as Gruden.
yeah, like he conveys this information better than John Gruden, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
like,
Not as
and it-
complicated as Gruden's second album by the aforementioned indie folk band. Sorry, continue.
yeah, it's called Turkey Hole. Is
Yeah. Turkey Hole
Gruden-
X7, right?
Gruden's more like a John Madden where he just says wacky stuff like, "What's out there, man? I don't know."
That was
Yeah,
a
but
decent
at least
Gruden.
at least he's enthusiastic, which is another thing that's great about Tony as a commentator. And yeah, we're on a first name basis, but
Just say you're his bastard son out of nowhere.
Oh, I wish, dude. I'd be a fucking millionaire. Are you kidding? But no, like the other thing that's great about it is that like he legitimately seems enthusiastic about watching the game
Oh,
of
yeah.
football, which is great because you watch like Phil Simms or fucking Troy Aikman, and it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really like this this decision to go for 4th and 1 on the 1 yard line here, Joe. I don't think the other team has enough heart to be in this game. Like, yeah, fuck off.
Oh
Like,
my God.
just tell me what the hell's going on.
I know we
man.
talked about commentators before, but can we bring him up again? Because it shows like how important a commentating crew
Yeah.
actually is to watch the
Yes.
game. Like Monday Night Football is easily one of the worst experiences because of their commentators.
Oh yeah.
It's bad. Yeah.
I didn't know how bad it was. People were saying it was bad until I watched it, and I thought, "Whoa, why?
Yeah.
It's just. I mean,
this is breaking news. Coach Crendor, sorry to drop in here. Breaking news: Kansas City Chiefs has fired defensive coordinator
Yeah.
Bob Sutton after the overtime loss to the Patriots.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Rex
Yeah.
Ryan
Yeah.
might be their
Yeah.
new coordinator.
Yep.
dude. Rex is fucking good with defenses, man. I know people like to shit on him, and I completely understand why. But he's a good defensive coordinator. So
Yeah. But yeah, like Joe Buck is an actual baseball announcer, and he's like developed this template where he just says 3 words. That's all he does. Watch any Joe Buck thing, and he'll be like, Brady, Jennings, touchdown.
Yeah,
That's all he does.
That's the Joe Buck formula for sure.
Up the middle,
Yeah.
what a throw! What a catch!
kick
Yeah.
out to the right side.
Joe Buck
Yeah.
doesn't like football. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't
Anymore,
think he does
anyway.
either.
Although
Like, he's lost
I
the
will say,
passion for it.
the past couple of years though, he's been better, and he it seems like he cares about it a little bit more. But I think part of it is like, Jim Nantz was fucking wasted with Phil Simms for years, and then Tony comes in and he just seems alive in the booth again. You
Because
know,
Phil Simms was like, oh god, like,
Jim.
I'll tell you, Jim. Hey, if you look down at that play, I think if he made a catch right there, he would have caught the ball. And if he caught that ball, that would have been a catch. God,
Yeah.
thanks,
I
Phil.
feel bad because I don't want to rip on all these guys because it's like it's a hard job to do.
Yeah,
like
it
Tony
is.
Romo is a god at this. I want to put it
Yes.
into perspective.
Yes.
He is incredibly good, but like it's a tough job to do. But a lot of these guys are also pretty bad at it, and I wish they wouldn't have them.
There's too many
You
like
know,
tenured
Yeah.
people into this. Like, there's so many
Yeah.
old guys that need to go. Like, I don't know, Chris Collinsworth's okay, but like, I still don't. I'd rather have somebody else at this point. Like,
Yeah.
just like,
He's kind of on his last legs for me too. Yeah.
Like Madden.
Yeah, you know, it's the thing. But part of what I was saying is like with these play-by-play guys, with because of the play-by-play guys like Jim Nantz, Al Michaels, Joe Buck, they're not supposed to give insight on the game. They're just supposed to call out what's happening directly in front of their eyes. So I think like shitting on them is, while fair, is like just a titch unfair, because there's not much that they're advised to not do that, to not
The main
call out things that they're
commentators?
saying. No, well, the play-by-plays, the color commentators are
Oh,
guys
yeah.
like Troy Aikman and Collinsworth
Yeah.
and Romo,
I
but
have problems with a lot of the color or the play-by-plays. Like Al Michaels, just like, and here's Jennings. Like,
Yeah.
he just like. I think a lot of those are good. Jim Nantz, like Joe Buck's probably the one I don't really
Yes.
like that
Yeah, I
much out of
agree.
all
Yeah.
of them.
although one thing that I will say for Joe Buck, his call of the Minnesota Miracle was wonderful. Like that
Yeah.
was actually really good. So
He's
I
got
miss
some good
Nantz
like end of the game or like
Yeah.
big time play things.
Mhm.
Like he called the Cubs World Series thing. That was actually pretty good. Like when I was watching the
Oh, no,
Cubs win.
Joe Buck does great in baseball. It's just,
Yeah,
I think
apparently
he's-
it
I think
does,
he's
yeah.
more used to baseball than football. Football is, I don't know if you knew this or not, Coach, but football is slightly faster paced.
I do watch
That's
both
what
sports.
makes me think that he doesn't like football as much anymore. Is that he's so much more passionate when he's doing baseball.
yeah, I
Well,
would
he
be
does the
surprised.
same thing. Well, he'll just be like, Brian, deep left, gone.
Yeah.
So he just implemented that in
Listen-
the football.
Just listen to him call the it was Game 5 of the Astros World Series. That entire game is just a highlight reel for him, and he was making great calls.
Mm.
Yeah, he's a
Like,
good
Joe-
baseball announcer.
Like go on to YouTube and look up George Springer home run in Game 5, and where Joe Buck's like, one pitch, goodbye is gone so long. One pitch to Springer, and the game is
Yeah.
tied. Like the way that he says goodbye is just great.
Mm. I still go back sometimes to the Minnesota Miracle every once in a while and listen to that call, because it is great. Like he's just he's just like out to the left. Like it starts off with him not being that excited about the play, like Joe Buck fashion, and then he's just like, Diggs caught touchdown.
Yeah,
He's
like
freaking
Joe
out.
Buck's- Yeah, his voice like
Great.
cracks and stuff too.
Yeah, it's
There's
fantastic. So
Can I just say, not like announcers, but people that like do what we do, like the analysts.
yeah.
Some of those
We're
analysts,
analysts.
or quote analyst. I mean, they don't like they
I know,
played the
yeah,
game, but they don't offer anything. Like Terry Bradshaw and all those guys. Like they're
Yeah.
just, they can't
There
even
are like
speak at
6
this
of
point.
those guys in the booth at sometimes.
Yeah.
offering the same point.
Like
Yeah.
Shannon Sharp and all, like, Skip, let me tell you something. Yeah. It's like,
Skip.
all right, Shannon. Skip. Like,
We
the amount of
had,
times he says Skip. I also kind of don't like him because he bashed the Packers one time, and I was like, all right.
You just branded for
little
life. Just
Yeah. I also don't like Skip Bayless, though, so I mean,
I don't
Yeah,
think I don't think most
nobody
people
likes Skip Bayless.
And they somehow matched up Stephen A. Smith, one of the most controversial and annoying figures in sports punditry, with someone who is arguably much, much worse. How did they find Max Kellerman? I don't know how. But anyway,
He's-
yeah.
Stephen A.
Stephen
Smith.
A's-
I can't stand
They're
listening
just-
to him.
The thing is, they're actual trolls. They
Yeah,
just,
no,
they
yeah.
troll to get views. He'll just be like, "Let me tell you why LeBron James is the worst player in the league." It's like, okay, let me hear this one out.
Yeah. Yeah. Now they basically clickbait.
The analysts, the ones that are the greatest, are like, we've also got, they have someone like calling in, like as another color commentator analyst to join the other 5 guys at the desk. We got Ja Rule on the phone now. To figure out, what do you think of that play?
What does
Yeah.
Ja think?
Where is Ja? Yo,
Oh yeah,
but-
don't they always have the guy they call for like the referee booth or whatever? Like, we're calling what's his name, and he's like, that play was not a penalty, and then they're
Yeah,
like,
like-
it's a penalty.
Like Mike
Right, yeah,
Peter
Mike
Leone
Ferrer,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
his name was.
Mike
Ferrer,
Ravioli.
Ferrer, yeah.
Mike Ravioli. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that racist as an Italian. But no, you know what though? I think Romo shows that. Well, you know what? I guess I don't really know the numbers, but I feel like everyone in like our generation fucking loves Romo. I don't know about the older generation. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm wrong with them, but
Who cares about them? They're old and dead.
yeah. Well, but the thing is, like, I think what
Old.
Romo. But I think what Romo shows is that, like, hey, the audience is interested by the more intricate details and the nuances of football, not just, I talked to Bill Jacobs before the game, and he told me that they're going to fight really hard for this one because his family was sad because his dad was sick, and then he's not sick anymore. Oh boy, I gotta tell you, they are really fighting hard for this. Like, I don't give a shit anymore. Like, I really don't care. Like, I want to know what's happening on the play.
Yeah,
So I was
like
like, I
then let's
don't-
cut
his
to
family was
sideline
sick.
reporter Lisa. Lisa, what have you got down there? Well, I talked to Coach Johnson, and he said that they came out to make adjustments, and when they adjust, they can actually get the plays that they need to get to counter the opposing team. Guys, back to you in the booth.
All right,
Wow,
thanks,
thank you.
Lisa.
Like, they said
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
of value was said.
Literally just to fill that 30 second.
It's just filler.
Completely
It's all
silent
filler.
the whole time, and nothing would have changed. Yeah.
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 So it's just, I think a lot of maybe older people like that growing up because they're just like, it sounds like they're saying something, but we've hit this point where we know they're saying something. It's like, I actually care about the strategies and everything.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's nice to hear
So
an actual breakdown.
in
I
that
think,
respect, I hope they go more in that direction rather than have fucking, Jason Witten and Booger fucking McFarland yelling at each other over interceptions about, like, political issues. Like,
I'll run you over in the
really
Boogermobile.
Hey,
That's what's great about
I
it.
shit my pants before, Jason. Did you ever shit your pants on the sideline? Like, come on, like, please, yes,
That's what-
somebody.
That's what was great about Tony Siragusa is that you couldn't understand a word he's saying. You just want to see if he's going to eat someone on the side.
Yeah.
Why don't
great.
bigger, stronger commentators just simply eat the smaller, weaker ones?
Well, why don't you, like, speaking of it, do you think older people just didn't know a lot about football? Like, they just joined in watching it, like, hey, it's a night out at the movies, an old football game. And now we've, like, gotten so into the internet, especially, has given us so much information about it. Like, you can ask your dad or something about, like, a
Yeah.
slot wide receiver, and they'll be like, slot wide receiver? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I formations, strong
I think
set.
that's part of it, but I also think part of it is, like, legitimately football was being commentated. Started being commentated way before it got as complicated as it is today.
Yeah.
Like you had to wait for the Paul Brown Bengals offense going into the Bill Walsh West Coast offense and the and then the Tampa 2 stuff and all the other shit that made the game so much more complex.
Excuse me, you're not allowed to say that's our
the
word.
year of running the Wildcat.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And here we thought that this show was going to be a short show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who would thought?
Another breaking news, Coach. Just update on the replay
Right.
changes here. To give you a little love for Mr. John Elway, he's come out and said that he is against the replay reform for penalties.
Yeah.
Good to know.
John Elway also doesn't know how to run a team. So
He said, and I quote, this is quote John Elway as per the Athletics' Lindsey Jones, you can't replay every pass interference. It won't work.
I think
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
we're not trying to replay every pass interference, John, just the controversial ones.
Just the ones
Just
that are
those.
clearly supposed to
John-
be pass interference.
Can I just say I hate John Elway, by the way? Part of it is the bias of losing in the Super Bowl in '99 to the Broncos. Part of it is just his goofy head.
Yeah, well, John Elway, also known as the man who every time he talks, you can't tell whether his teeth or his forehead are bigger.
He's like an
So-
actual Bronco.
Yeah, he's
you
a
look
he's
at
a
his
legitimate horse. Yeah, yeah, with
He's the sleeping horse coach.
massive veneers. Yeah.
But yeah, so let's pick our Super Bowl winner, because I feel like we probably won't do a Pro Bowl show. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, it's
The Pro Bowl.
Pro Bowl.
Hey, the skills competition, though, I'm actually excited
Yeah.
for.
The skills
I like
competition
that.
is fun. I kind of wish they would make the whole thing that, because
Yeah.
that is fun. Like when they're playing like volleyball and shit. Like
Mhm.
I'd like to watch them play like a little.
Dude, it's
play
like,
a couple innings of baseball too.
yeah,
Why not?
it's
You know,
like in
play
the
some
NBA
basketball.
where they do the dunk contest and all that, and the 3-point contest. Like everyone watches that, but they don't watch the actual game. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
I want to
just-
see every one of them sitting down in a basement playing GoldenEye for the N64 to figure out who's
Right.
the best.
Yo, I
GoldenEye
would
player.
watch that though, for real.
That for sure.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
If I was a professional football player, I would never see any point of going to any Pro Bowl game. I would just not show. That is
For
it
fun.
It means
Yeah, You get to
nothing.
go to Hawaii.
Oh yeah, excuse me with my 6-digit, 7-digit income here.
Hey,
I can go to
man.
Hawaii anytime I want.
No matter
Dude,
how
they
rich
feel
you
like-
are, no matter how rich you are, free is always nice.
It's
Yeah.
not worth
Guys.
going out there and getting injured in a meaningless game.
To a lot of
Guys.
people, yeah.
I need to tell you, one of the skill competitions is, and I quote, in all caps, Epic Pro Bowl Dodgeball. I will watch that, and I will have more fun watching that than any
Yo!
Pro Bowl
Than the Pro
actual
Bowl.
game.
They did that
Yeah.
last year too, and I think they've been doing it for the last couple of years. It was fucking hype as shit. Like it came down to like 1-on-1, and it was super close. It was
I'm
awesome.
sure.
Yeah.
Good.
I can't wait till the Pro Bowl introduces the Pro Bowl Russian roulette.
Tom Brady
Which-
has to play
who's-
every year.
Who's going to be the luckiest?
I think I love how they make it feel it's like an honor or something. Like, guys, guess what? Alvin Kamara is part of the Pro Bowl. It's like, yeah, it just means he just lost the championship game and now he's got slotted
Right,
into the
yeah,
Pro Bowl.
exactly.
Like, great. Fantastic.
Consolation prize.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Stephen Jones, this is coming from Cowboys executive vice president Stephen Jones on the replay thing, expanding on Elway's comments. Certainly, you don't want to officiate from replay. I don't think at the end of the day that's good for the game.
Yeah. Well, all those
Thanks.
guys are
Thanks, Steven.
above 50 years old, right? So
Yeah.
Their opinions
Don't
don't
change
count
it.
anymore.
don't really care.
That's the third. That's the third album.
change.
The third
Yeah.
album is going to be above 50 years old.
Remember, those are the
Yeah.
guys that we were just talking about. Love hearing. Yeah, the coach said we need to score more points to win the game. So
They just love hearing.
So, all right, let's pick our Super Bowl winners. Well, let's start with Bear because we already know who's going to pick.
Rams all the way.
All right,
Yep.
count it. There you go.
There it is.
We have it on. We have it on footage.
Yep, lock it in.
I'm gonna hope that the Patriots end up winning this here football match.
No, not Bear predicting the Patriots.
I would really prefer it that way.
Yep.
To be honest with you, I mean, both teams played hard to get here, but fuck the Rams.
Yep. It's they see Aaron Donald actually complimented by Bill Belichick saying it's impossible to block that guy or something, which means he's gonna figure out some way to block him on every
Yeah.
play.
Bill
Yeah.
Belichick does this every week, where he compliments the shit out of the other team, and I guarantee it's to get in their fucking heads with that
Yeah.
evil mindset that he has.
It's that weird reverse psychology. Like instead of the trash talk, it's like they're great guys over there. Love them. You know, very talented.
Yeah, I know. I fucking hate it. I hate it.
And just destroys them.
Yeah.
There's
Like,
Bears
did you ever
starting
see,
Tweaking my nipples now while you guys all pick the Patriots.
dude, like I watched that Bill Belichick interview where he's just like talking about how he read the Art of War and shit, and it's like, oh my
Yeah.
god, like this. did not deny that one bit.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
So I kind of want the Rams, but I think the Patriots will win, so I'm picking the Patriots.
Yeah, I want the Rams too, but I do feel like the Patriots are going to win this one. Because honestly, the Rams did not win in a very convincing fashion against the Saints.
I still think they're not that as good. Like I don't think they're as good as they're not as good as we thought they were. We let them off the hook.
Yeah,
It's Invicta.
LA, good for you. You made it. You got to the Super Bowl. You put LA on the map as a football city finally. But it's just gonna be. It's gonna be the Patriots, and Bear is gonna be very happy. I'm happy for you, Bear.
Nice. I'm going to be real sad if they lose.
I think this game has the potential to be close though, because their D line, the Rams D line, is no joke. Like Aaron Donald is like a fucking god on the field, and like pretty much for his whole career, the only way to beat Tom Brady is to get in his face and sack him. Like that's pretty much it. Or have goofball magic. Like if you're a meme lord, then you can win. But
or just get your sack in his face. There you go.
But Jared Goff, he's not really memey, he's kind of like shitty Ryan Gosling a little bit, but it's not that funny. That's
He just looks. Well, he's kind of got that like he drives a pickup truck, kind of like Southern look to him, kind of like.
See,
the
this is why we don't make the big bucks, because we're measuring quarterbacks on how memey they are. This is why we're not getting paid.
This is why we get the millennial audience, though. Sid.
Right, exactly. See,
that's the fourth album. This is why we're not getting paid for this. There you go.
So yeah, it should be. I think it'll still be a good game though. Like I don't think it'll be a blowout or anything. If anything, it'll be a shootout. I think.
What do you guys? Question. What are you guys doing for the Super Bowl?
Well, what I've always done the last few years is just order a pizza from Domino's, and then I eat it and watch it.
Well, I was asking because by the way, why Domino's? But also,
well, we can get into this if you want.
Hey.
That was the most Crendor like Rob has ever been. What do you guys think about it?
Well, I was gonna ask if you guys aren't doing anything. Maybe we could have like a Discord. Watch.
Yeah, we could all go on a date. Discord date.
I mean, I'd be down to do that.
I'd probably be around at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a possible thing to do.
Yeah.
So.
Now, are you saying like live stream, or are you saying like make it into a podcast?
Yeah, like
or are you
live
saying
stream,
just-
Yeah. Well, but have like, podcast crew live stream the.
And then you all, fellow viewers and listeners out there, could actually pay us for doing this for once. So bring those credit cards.
Pretty nice. Yeah.
Bring those credit cards. Pay for that Domino's.
I like Domino's. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, the thing is,
well,
out of
you guys
all
are both
the
wrong. So
fast food pizzas, Domino's is the best one.
you guys are both wrong.
What's the best then?
Not all of us can live in New York, all right?
No, well, the real answer is none of them. But I am actually partial to, if we're talking about true fast food pizza, like the Domino's and the Pizza
We're talking
Huts
about
and the Papa John's and the Little Caesars of the world. I'd rather eat a Pizza Hut pizza than any other ones.
Nope.
I'll be honest with you.
Pizza Hut is bad.
The only thing that was good about Pizza Hut was their pepperoni rolls, and they discontinued those. So no.
The last time I ate Pizza Hut, it was one of the worst pizzas I've ever eaten, and I never ate there. I never ate there again. It does
give me anal leakage, but that's also why I don't eat pizza.
I don't think that's related to pizza. You might want to get that checked out, right?
Yeah, probably should. But in fairness, I haven't eaten Pizza Hut in maybe like a literal decade.
What about Domino's?
Yeah, try Domino's.
Have you
Tune
tried
in next
Domino's?
week to see what's leaking out of Rob's anal cavity here on the
That's all I'm saying.
podcast.
Just try Domino's, man.
I have. I did not enjoy, like when they did their new recipe thing. I was just like, this is much worse.
Well,
It's
maybe you have
gross.
bad taste. So anyway, you are a Jets fan.
He's a Jets fan, dude.
He's a Jets fan. Either way, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll probably tweet about the Super Bowl on Discord or whatever, and live whatever.
We'll
Just
have to
follow
figure
us on
out-
Twitter.
We'll have to figure out if we're going to make our own Twitch channel or if we're just going to use one of our Twitch channels to do it. But
Yeah,
figure it
either
out.
way, we'll figure it out. Thanks for listening. join our Discord where we talk about football. Put a link in the descriptions. There's also our Twitters. Check them all out. Thanks for listening again. And like and share this with your friends, your family, your mom, your dad, your dog, your cat, your teacher, whoever you want to share it with. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.